What's up, NBA 2K fans? It's your real 2K Insider. We're continuing to break down the November 3rd roster update. It's the first ratings update of the season for NBA 2K23. There were 131 overall rating changes. 22 of those were big movers, plus minus 3 or greater, is what I consider those. 17 players went up, 5 went down. The Orlando Magic have some of the biggest movers on that list. Paulo Banchero and Bol were the biggest movers in this update at plus 5, along with Walker Kessler. He's the other guy in the roster who went up 5. And Mo Bamba was the biggest loser in the roster of the 5 players that went down. Bamba went down a minus 4, the rest were just minus 3. So we're going to be breaking down all 3 of those big men as they are on the same team, so why not? So Paulo Banchero was the 3rd highest rated mover. I've previously done videos for Donovan Mitchell and Desmond Bain, breaking those guys down, so check those out if you haven't already. Banchero is averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. He would be running away with Rookie of the Year so far, if not for Benedict Mathurin on Indiana. And the comps that the scouts made to Blake Griffin are pretty reasonable, in my opinion. So let's get into Banchero's ratings. And I'm going to list all the changes that he got. So an 88 driving layup, that is a plus 8. He's shooting 58% from the field, and he's only assisted on 38% of those. Pretty low. I would have had him at like I would have him at like an 85 or 90. So 88 split the difference on that. Draw foul. I absolutely hate how 2K handles this rating because it seems like they're just using like personal preference and eyeballs and not like any statistical measurement, as we're gonna go over once we get to some of the other players that had draw foul rating adjustments. But Banchero, he averages 8.5 free throw attempts per 36 minutes. That's 48% of his shots, meaning he takes like 16 field goals and 8.5 free throws during that time. So this is why I hate the Mitchell and Bain ratings if you watch those videos, as those guys take 5 free throws per 36 minutes, and they have higher ratings than what Banchero has right now, taking 8.5. So I think Banchero's rating is fine. I would actually go even a little bit higher. It's rather the other 2 guards that I am not pleased with. It seems like 2K doesn't really they just treat it like shot IQ, and just I kind of eyeball it. We'll go over that rating too. Close shot, this is a plus 10, or I'm sorry, plus 11. He's shooting 46% from the field. Similarly, only 28% of those are assisted. This is a very low number to have. Not the field goal percentage, but his assist rate is very low. So he's taking a lot of difficult shots at the rim or close to the rim. So I'm totally on board with this boost. No adjustments to his mid-range or 3-ball. He's been taking a lot of those shots, but they haven't been going in at present. So I'm fine with that. Free throws, that went up 2 points for whatever reason. I guess they were trying to cheat him up a little bit. But he had 73 to begin with, and he's shooting 74% on the season. So sure, I guess. Worth noting that his offensive rebound rating did not change, even though he's rebounding like a player who should have a 40 rating, at least on the offensive end. So put a pin in that for the moment. And then shot IQ, this is a plus 15 from a 70 to an 85. Good. As it should be. He's a much better player than anticipated. And although this is kind of just another arbitrary rating that 2K throws around without any rhyme or reason. No changes over here. No changes to his athleticism. Spoiler alert, there hasn't been a single player that I've gone over yet that has had a change to their athleticism ratings. This is something that 2K really only adjusts these ratings like once every 5 years. And it looks like it's going to be another year where they don't, but moving along to the mental. Offensive consistency, this is a plus 25. I'm not really with this one because I personally use what is it called? Plus, shoot, what is it called? I'm blanking out midstream. OBPM. Oh no, box plus minus. I'm sorry. Offensive box plus minus. He's a negative, or no, so he's a positive 0.4. Uh, that means he's like only slightly above average in terms of like how he's contributing to his team's offense. He's inefficient. His field goal percentage is not that high. Obviously, he is obviously taking a lot of difficult shots and whatnot. But as we mentioned with like his jump shooting is pretty erratic so far, and that's ultimately holding his team back a little bit. I mean, so given that, he's just not all star caliber yet. We don't need to have him at a 95 already, like 8 games into his career. I personally would have him like a 70, 75. He was rated 70 to begin with. So this is just them like padding his rating because they needed to get his overall rating up. Maybe they could have boosted its defensive consistency instead, because at a negative 0.7 defensive BPM, I would have him around like a 60, 65. So rather than going plus 25 here, they could have just gone plus 20 here. But, what do I know? And intangibles, this is a plus 25. 2K will typically give the higher rated, or rather the lottery picks. Most rookies in general will have a low intangibles, and then typically they don't really boost their attributes all that much once they establish themselves as like being good. They'll just like bump up their intangibles to create like a larger overall improvement. So that's more or less what was done here. I'm sorry, I said 50 he started with. 60 is his default. 60 plus 85 plus 25 is 85. So yeah, and we're gonna go over his badges because that's another thing is most of the rookies came into the game with very few badges. Like 90% of them have zero. Banchero was one of the few rookies that actually had badges. He had 3 badges, so they added 8 to him, but they also upgraded. Oh, the only thing that they didn't touch was vice grip. All the rest of the badges that he did have all went up a tier, which were aerial wizard and pogo stick. Pogo stick actually went up 2 tiers. This was a bronze, now it's a gold. And then all the rest of these badges are new. He really should have had all these badges to begin with. But we're gonna hop into my roster real quick. I don't have a problem with any of the badges that they added. I'll go over what I did. This is my roster. This year I'm on the PS5, the Real 2K rosters. If you guys aren't aware, I'm sure you are since you're watching my channel. But yep, feel free to give it a download. And I have been working through the badges as I've been doing these. So my badge update for Banchero, 23 badges total. He was a #1 overall pick for a reason. So diving in on those, my changes from what they gave him were I added back down Punisher, Dream Shake, Masher, Drop Stepper, basically all the and post spin technician, all of the post up badges. He posts up 2 times for 36 minutes. This is something that's in his repertoire, so should at least have bronzes and everything, in my opinion. Shooting, I gave him a midi magician as he is taking a lot of mid-range shots. They're not going in at the current moment, but a small sample, they'll come around. And ditto for volume shooter, he's taking a lot of shots. Post playmaker, I believe he's got like a 17 or 18% assist rate, which is kind of like that's right around where post playmaker bronze starts. So, and he's obviously just a very good passer. You could pencil him in for like 4 to 5 assists a game. Quick first step I added. He is doing a lot of isolation scoring. Does a lot off the dribble. As per, again, Blake Griffin comparison. Makes sense, right? And when I say Blake Griffin comparison, I mean more the like Detroit version of Blake Griffin rather than like Clippers version, which is more of like a lob threat. Banchero is creating more off the dribble. He isn't like the super athlete that Blake was, but just like a very well-rounded power forward, basically a power forward with the skills of like a 3. And special delivery, I also added to him just because he's a. This is more from what I gathered based on like tape I watched of him pre-draft, his his college stuff. So again, but just again another passing badge that we're adding to him besides post playmaker. And then for defense, we've got box out beast and brick wall. He is 6'10", 250, probably reasonable in the pick and roll, and he's a solid defensive rebounder, so give him box out. Why not? Let's jump back into the 2K roster. We're gonna go over Bol. Bol so far one of the most improved players in the NBA. It's worth noting. So yeah, Banchero is Rookie of the Year favorite. Bol's in the most improved player conversation. As said before, 76 overall. It's a +5. Let's hop into his attributes. He's averaging 10 points per game, 7 rebounds, 2.6 blocks per game in only 21 minutes. 66 field goal percentage, leads the league in 2-point percentage, 73% from 2-point range, and leads the league with 10.9 block percentage, which is among the, if that holds, one of the highest block rates in NBA history, basically only rivaled by his father, Manute Bol, guys like Sean Bradley, the more extreme shot blocking specialists in NBA history are all in that range. So going over his ratings. Driving layup, this is a +5 from a 64. So worth noting, he's 10 of 15 from the field, or not from the field, but on layups. Yeah, I guess layups from the field. 10 of 15, which is 67%. Only assisted on 30% of those. So his layups, small sample. I'm not really willing to go like that hard on it yet, but it is worth noting that he does have 16 dunks on the year, so he is getting a lot more. He is finishing stronger rather than like craftier. But I mean, I personally have this rating at like an 80, and I think 69 is probably just a little too low. And obviously, the 64 that it was at, was not nearly enough. So look for this rating to continue to go up. It is a step in the right direction. No changes to draw foul for him. No changes for like the rest of his offensive ratings for the most part. A free throw is a +7. He's 14 of 17 this year, 82%, which is why he gets the 82. But it's a very small sample, and it's worth noting that he's 72% for his career. So, I wouldn't write that in ink as of yet. This could definitely be dropping in the future. Mid range, they did not touch any of these ratings. Like, he's 0 for 3 this year from mid range and 2 for 13 in his career. So 79's definitely overrated. You mentioned that he's the 2-point. He leads the league in 2-point percentage, but he does not shoot from this range. It's definitely all on drives. So I would have raised his close shot rating. He is 9 for 14 this year, 64% from close range. For his career, he's 24 53, which is 45%. That's essentially equivalent to like a 90. So 78. This definitely should have gotten adjusted, I think. If you're going to adjust his free throw rating for 17 attempts and not his close shot rating for 14 attempts, I just want them to be consistent. Offensive rebound, this went up by 10 points. His 9.6 offensive rebound rate, so that's basically by scale. And shot IQ is a +18. This was 57. Given that he's leading the league in 2-point percentage, probably taking quality shots. So I'm fine with that. Previously, he was a fringe player, just only playing garbage time. You can definitely argue that then it was okay for him to have a low shot IQ, but now that he's actually getting meaningful minutes, 75 is totally cool. Defensive rebound, this is underrated by like 10 to 15 points, even though it already got a boost. It's a +9 from 67, and His defensive rebound rate is a 27%, which is typically like by 2K scale, like 80, somewhere like 89, 90. So definitely, even though he got a boost, definitely underrated. And let's see, his block rating. This is a +5, but again, worth noting, he leads the league in block rate, and he has a 7.2 career block percentage. So, like, absolutely, he should be getting maxed out. Like, he's one of the elite shot blockers in the NBA, and yeah, hopefully they continue to boost him as his sample grows. As mentioned, no athleticism ratings change ever. They might boost a player's stamina every now and then, but for the most part, don't be surprised that these don't move. He's probably honestly a little underrated in some of them, even 68 speed. Like we're gonna see when we get to Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba's got a higher speed rating, and Bol Bol's definitely faster. He's 7'2" and 220, so like he kind of, I wouldn't say that he moves like a guard. He doesn't have the agility of one, but like his end-to-end speed is very fast. It takes long strides, etc. 50 hustle rating. This is also should go up. This is way too low. One of those like because he had like injuries in his college career. It was justifiable for him to have like a low hustle rating because he wasn't going to be like diving on the floor or anything. But now that he's like kind of grown into his body a little bit, yeah, you can definitely bump him up to like an NBA caliber rating, I think. And then offensive consistency. This is a +30. Can they only measure one side of the ball? Because so far they're only changing offensive consistency ratings and not defensive. And he's got a 1.3 offensive box plus minus. So this, the rating's fine. I'm just like curious that like they're boosting this rating by 30, but they did not touch his defensive consistency. And this is where most of his value is coming from as the leading shot blocker in the NBA. He's got a 1.7 defensive box plus minus, so even greater than his offense. And they did not change his rating, so I don't know what's going on. I do know what's going on. There ain't much going on at 2K is the problem. And intangibles, this is also a +35. Obviously, I would just go even higher on him just to get his rating up, but that is just me. And worth noting that he's got 0 badges. So we're going to dive in again on my roster, and we're going to see what I gave to him there. I wish there was a better way to do it than just jumping back and forth all the time. But Bol I've got him at 6 badges at the moment. And Aerial Wizard, Slithery. So, like, oh, one other thing before I even actually jump into the badges. So I've got him at small forward, power forward, whereas 2K had him at power forward center. 2K is looking at basketball reference estimates and also possibly copying my work every 2 weeks after the fact. Whereas when I say that, like, trust me, I keep notes on what they do for the last like couple of years. Generally, I'm ahead of the curve when it comes to the positions, and they're usually copying what I do. Because yeah, but I'm actually looking at the lineup data, which is why I am ahead of the curve. And Bol, he often plays next to Paulo Banchero and Wendell Carter. So he's the third big man in these lineups. Earlier in the season, like at the start of the season, Terrence Ross got hurt, but when he was playing, like Bol was subbing in for Terrence Ross. Like he was coming in as like a shooting guard, small forward. Right now, he's playing more, I would say 3-4, but I think at the very least, it's clear that center shouldn't be his second position. And they classify Banchero as a small forward for his secondary position. And the reason why I don't, like, even if Banchero is technically playing the 3, because, like, Wendell Carter's the starting center and Banchero normally is the starting power forward, it's Bol who would lose his starting job once everybody gets healthy. Right now, Bol is starting at the 3 because Franz Wagner is playing at the 1 because of all the injuries that they've had to all their point guards. Fultz, Anthony, and Suggs have missed a couple games. So that's an important distinction of why I have Bull at a small forward, and that's worth noting that that does drag his rating down a little bit. Um, as if I switch into a four, you see he goes up to a 77 overall. But I just wanted to touch on that as that is a distinct difference in how the game, the lineups are going to be handled by the AI, etc. So hopping into now into his badges, his aerial wizard. I gave him a silver. He gets a lot of putbacks, as mentioned. He's got 16 dunks on the year. A lot of times he's just like he kind of stands on the perimeter a little bit, looking for and then crashes the glass hard. And because of his size and the fact that he's being guarded by players who he's matched up with other small forwards, so like they can't stop him. He's too small. They're too small. Um, or and Slithery, that might seem odd, but he Euro steps. He's very crafty as a driver. Um, and given like his strength, like 7'2" and only 220, he's obviously not like finishing through players. So he definitely is always looking to go around them. He's got pretty good footwork for a guy his size. And shooting, playmaking, nah, he's not really ever going to be a playmaker. And shooting, like he's airballed a couple shots. He takes them. He can make them when he's wide open. But for a guy that size to like create off the dribble or just like catch cleanly and go up, like I think he's only taking like 2 threes per 36 minutes. So even if you were hitting a high percentage, like because he's not able to get off a shot easy, I wouldn't lean towards putting many badges on him anyway. But defense, I gave him anchor, box out, chase down, and pogo stick. All of those are bronzes for now. I don't know how much of a. I still haven't quantified like how much of an impact he's making on their defense. It's not like Bobo would be the first player with a high block rate to not have a meaningful impact on their team's defense. Guys like Rudy Gobert, etc. They don't. Gobert doesn't put together like a 10% block rating, but he's obviously a much stronger defender. Doesn't foul, etc. A lot of things factor in to defense is more than steals and blocks at the end of the day. But box out beast, he's a pretty solid rebounder, even if he's not like what's it called? He's not pushing guys out of the way, but certainly I don't think he's a pushover either. He's gotten a lot stronger since he entered the league. Chase down artist, again, he got a crazy block rating and he's pretty mobile for a guy his size. And pogo stick, as most they give this to a lot of defensive or a lot of big men that get blocks. So why not? We're gonna see that Mo Bamba's got it once we dive in on him. Let's head on over to Mo Bamba, who, as mentioned, he's the biggest loser in this roster update. He's a -4. This drops to a 75 overall, and he went from starter to backup because of the drafting of Banchero, averaging only 4 points, 3 rebounds in only 13 minutes per game this year. Last year he was at 11 points, 8 rebounds on 26 minutes per game. He's only shooting 42% from the field, 26% from three in the early going. Last year he was at 48% and 38% from three. So his play's definitely declined, but also like the samples are not so large yet that I would be freaking out over it, especially with three ball, which I'll get into. But driving layup, this is a -7, 67 from a 74. He's 4 for 8 on the year. Come on, like he was 52% last season. They're just making it up. Like they really didn't need to touch him there. Draw foul. This rating dropped by 20 points, and completely justifiably because he was overrated to begin with. Then this is like proof in the pudding that 2K is just eyeballing it and not using stats at all, or I don't know what they're using to factor it. But 1.6 free throw attempts per 36 for Mo Bamba last year. I'm sorry, this year. Last year was a 1.4 free throw attempts per 36 as a center. That is low, folks. And he had a 65 rating. Again, let's not forget that Banchero came into the league, or he came into the game with the, what was it, a 60 rating? And he's averaging 8.5 free throws per 36. So like, oh my god, I have him at like a 35, like even lower than this. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what they're doing. They need to figure it out. Draw the close shot. This is a -7. He's uh, actually, oops, I got a typo. I still have Bol stats posted. So real quick, I'm going to jump in and just check what Bamba is shooting this season, so I can comment on that. Heading on over to Basketball Reference, checking his shooting splits. Mo Bamba is 1 for 4 from the field, earning a -7. So they gave him -7 based on 4 shots. Insane. Last season he was 50 of 126, which was 39.5%. Yeah, like, so that makes sense. He had an 82 before. I believe I have him at a 77 in my roster because it was kind of on a low volume and like easy shots. But yeah, I just want them to be consistent. That's all. Uh, Going on to his 3 point. This is a -8, as mentioned. He went from 38% to 26%, but I mean, like the sample's not very high. He's taken, I believe, 19 threes this year. Yeah, he's 5 for 19, and the problem with like when you do it that way is if he goes 3 for 3 in the next game, which is completely possible, he's then shooting 8 for 22, which is 36% from the field. So you look foolish for like changing his 3 point rating after one game. You know, 3 point percentage is one of the most volatile stats in the league. So like, it's one of the flaws in 2K's methodology is that they overreact to that. Like three point rating is like one of the few attributes that they change like on a regular basis. So like they like usually overcompensate a little bit so that it looks like they're doing a lot with like their overall ratings. But realistically, they just shouldn't be reacting this hard. Like he shot 38% last year. If we just combine the 2 seasons, make it a 2 year split, he's shooting 37%. You know, you can't base it off of 100 minutes of play, whether or not he's gotten 8 points worse as a 3 point shooter. Come on, no. Um, Going on down to standing dunk. This is actually a -10. Shouldn't have been that high to begin with. He dunks about 15% of his field goal attempts, which is low, or it's medium for a center. It's not like among the leaders or anything like that. And then shot IQ. This dropped by 30 points, which I don't have a problem with. But like, why was he that high to begin with? This is such an arbitrary rating. He was high because they wanted his overall rating to be high, and now he's low because they want his overall rating to be low. It doesn't just. And then we go over to his defensive rebound. This is a -5, 22.4 defensive rebound rate this year, so he's rated by scale. Last year he was a 24.6. It's worth noting that they did not adjust his offensive rebound rating, which is currently 5%. Last year it was 8%. So he's rated for the 8% on scale. But, you know, it doesn't make sense. Why are you going to adjust one but not the other? They're just very consistent, you know. 88 block. This rating did not change, even though his block rate dropped by 33%. It went from 5.9%, almost 6%, to 4%. And his career 6.9%, so like totally justifiable for him to still have a high block rating. I'm not saying that he should be lower, but recall that Bol has an 84 block rating. You know, Bol in his career has been a better shot blocker than Mo Bamba. So, you know, Just be consistent, guys. No changes for his athleticism. And then offensive consistency, once again, minus 30 without the defensive consistency getting touched. Offensive consistency is currently a negative 4.4 offensive box plus minus. Last year, he was a 0.2. Just in general, why was Mo Bamba an 80 offensive consistency to begin with? Great question, right? A negative 4.4, you could basically bottom him out. He is not this season so far in the 100 games. He's not a productive offensive player. So I have no problem with his consistency rating getting dropped. I'm just more or less thinking like, he was just an average at best offensive player previously, but his rating was much higher than that. And then finally, his intangibles is just a minus 10. So if they wanted to drop his rating further, or at least more accurately reflect the player, they could have dropped his offensive rebound rate, right? Or it looks like let's do it out here, just so we can get the visual demonstration. If we here we go. If we just did that, or what am I trying to do? Hold on. Well, I'm sorry, never mind. What am I trying to do? I don't remember what I'm trying to do. I think my just overall point was if they were trying to drop his rating, they could just do that rather than not be dishonest with some of his other attributes. Anyway, let's check out his badges real quick. Aerial Wizard, Rise Up, and Pogo Stick. We're going to hop into my roster for the final time and see what I gave him. Anchor and Box Out Beast. Again, he is a good shot blocker and he's a solid rebounder. Last year, he was 17th in defensive rebound rate. And I mean, just in general, it's worth noting that the Magic team have been like a slightly below average defensive team. They ranked 17th in defensive rating last year and are currently 17th this year. So I think that's all worthy of like a bronze. He's one of the better defensive players on the team. One way that you can more accurately reflect him without making up ratings like shot IQ 95, offensive consistency 80, etc. But anyway, hope you guys liked the content of this video. If you did, like and subscribe. You can get season-long access to my roster spreadsheet for only $20 this year. DM me on Twitter at Real2KInsider if you want to, if you're interested. And otherwise, I'm going to do a couple more breakdowns on the big movers in this update. Peace.